Hey everyone, today we're diving into Flow, a visually stunning animated fantasy that's beautifully crafted and guaranteed to make you cry. It's loaded with meaning, and if you've seen it, you know it leaves you with some pretty big questions. So, in this video, I'm breaking down the mysteries of Flow, unraveling its deeper layers, and offering up some intriguing theories about what's really going on beneath the surface. Let's get into it. For those who haven't seen it, Flow is a 2024 animated fantasy adventure directed by Gints Zilbalodis. It's been making waves globally and is even Latvia's official entry for Best International Feature Film at the 97th Academy Awards. The story follows a cat forced to leave its home after a devastating flood. Afraid of water and hesitant to connect, the cat ends up joining a boat with a quirky group of travelers: a dog, a capybara, a bird, and a lemur. Together, they journey through a dreamlike post apocalyptic world, facing danger and self discovery along the way. Let's break it down, starting with one of the film's biggest mysteries. The flood is almost like a character in the film, a force that drives the story while staying shrouded in mystery. It's also never explained outright, so we're left to speculate. Here are three theories floating around. First up, let's talk science. On Earth, tides are driven by the moon's gravitational pull. Now imagine what could happen if this balance was disrupted. Say, a larger moon, a closer orbit, or even one that's unstable. These changes could intensify tidal forces, leading to massive global flooding. This isn't just sci fi, it's grounded in real astrophysics. Billions of years ago, when the moon was closer to Earth, tides were significantly stronger. Plus, in our solar system, moons like Io and Europa experience extreme gravitational effects, causing volcanic eruptions and underground oceans. What if Flo's world is facing something similar, caused by a rogue celestial body or tectonic shifts? Apocalyptic flooding could absolutely happen. Think of Miller's planet in Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. Those towering tidal waves were caused by Gargantua's immense gravitational pull. It's a similar concept. Both explore how gravitational forces can dramatically reshape a planet. Extreme tides wouldn't just sink coastlines. Strong tidal forces might trigger seismic activity, causing land to sink in some areas and rise in others. If land sinks rapidly enough, even normal tides could suddenly submerge vast regions, drastically altering the planet's surface. Combined with persistent flooding, this would create a world in constant flux. That image of a boat stuck high up in a tree serves as a clue. These floods keep coming back, looping in cycles. Following that, what if the flood wasn't natural, but man made? Consider the Three Gorges Dam in China, which holds back a massive basin over 600 kilometers long. Now imagine humanity building a mega dam on an even larger scale, with ambitions far beyond what's realistic today. It could be part of a larger geoengineering project to counteract climate change or redirect entire oceans. If this dam failed, for example, due to a natural disaster like an earthquake, the resulting flood would be on an unthinkable scale, drowning everything in its path. However, this wouldn't explain the recurring tides. Dams control water, but don't alter the gravitational mechanics behind tides. The recurring flooding seen in the movie remains unexplained, unless humanity repeatedly rebuilt the dam. The third theory is more metaphysical. The flood represents a kind of limbo, where the animals are stand ins for souls on a spiritual journey. Floods have always been powerful symbols in myths and religions. Take Noah's Ark from the Bible, for example. A divine flood cleanses the earth, paving the way for a fresh start. The animals aboard symbolize survival, hope, and renewal. While director Gints Zilbalodis mentioned in an interview on the upcoming's YouTube channel that the Noah's Ark comparisons were unintentional, this doesn't mean the afterlife theory isn't worth considering. Still, it's fascinating to consider the movie from this perspective. In Flow, the recurring flood hints that these animals, and maybe the world itself, are stuck in a loop, where each cycle offers the chance for spiritual growth. This aligns with the Buddhist concept of samsara, a continuous cycle of rebirth driven by karma that continues until one reaches enlightenment or nirvana. Interestingly, it also mirrors real-world phenomena like planetary feedback loops, where ecosystems regulate themselves through recurring natural patterns over time. The cosmic imagery reinforces this interpretation. Stars, auroras, and glowing lights evoke a celestial journey, with the stars possibly symbolizing other departed souls, or fragments of consciousness waiting to reunite with the universe. The yellow light represents a destination, accessible only to the spiritually prepared, like the bird with the broken wing. The bird's ascension and union with the cosmos suggests it has completed its journey, transcending to a higher realm of existence. The mystery of the flood is a big part of what makes Flow so compelling. It really gets you thinking and questioning what's going on. These theories are great food for thought, especially if you're the type who loves diving into deeper world building. Here's another big mystery. Where did all the people go? It's clear they were once part of this world, but by the time the story begins, they've completely vanished, leaving only traces behind. Let's start with the abandoned house where the cat's journey begins. It feels oddly lived in, yet frozen in time, like the humans just up and left one day. The details in the house are fascinating. Glass piers wrapped in netted rope, hanging from the ceiling. At first, they look like decorations, but when the cat uses one to survive the flood, it's clear they were meant to be functional. They might have been designed as flotation devices, suggesting that humans were either living with flooding or actively trying to adapt to it. At the same time, they also remind me of planets, with the netted ropes representing their orbits. That feeling is reinforced by the placement of the telescope in the room, almost as if it's looking at the glass spheres like they're celestial bodies. Even so, I still lean toward the idea that their primary purpose was as flotation devices. And then there's the telescope itself, a small but significant detail. It hints that the humans might have been trying to make connections between the floods and celestial events. Perhaps they were searching for answers, studying patterns, or even attempting to predict when the next flood might hit. Then there's all the cat stuff, a wood carving in a drawing, statues scattered outside the house, and most strikingly, a massive cat statue carved into a mountain. This wasn't just a home, but possibly a place of reverence. The sheer scale of a mountain carved cat statue implies that it wasn't the work of a single person, but an entire society, meaning cats must have held a deep cultural or spiritual significance for them. It makes you wonder, why cats? In many Asian cultures, cats were symbols of resilience, protection, and even divinity. Maybe the cat statue reflects those same ideas. A belief that cats were guardians, spiritual guides, or even beings that could help humans reconnect with the natural world. That statue could be a way to honor nature in a final, desperate plea for help as the floods became unavoidable. So, what caused the humans to disappear? According to the moon tide theory, they were wiped out by a massive tidal event. If the floods came suddenly and with overwhelming force, humans wouldn't have had enough time to fully adapt. Even with the best planning, people have a pretty bad track record when it comes to responding to massive disasters, especially when they don't all agree on the threat or the solution. Some probably tried to prepare, others might have been in denial until it was too late. We've seen this play out in real world events like tsunamis, climate change, or volcanic eruptions. These natural disasters are frequently well studied, but there's often a gap between knowing the danger and actually taking action. That giant cat statue offers a clue. Its unfinished state might suggest the people were caught mid preparation when disaster struck, leaving behind a partially realized monument to their faith or resilience. When the flood finally hit, it must have been devastating, drowning cities, submerging farmland, and wiping out infrastructure. A sudden and dramatic rise in water levels would have destroyed supply chains, scattered populations, and made coordinated survival nearly impossible. Without the resources to rebuild, societal collapse seems inevitable. One intriguing detail is the question of how advanced these humans were. On the one hand, there's a telescope, which implies some level of scientific knowledge, but on the other, we don't see evidence of other advanced tech, at least not that I can remember. Were they a primitive society or something more like us? The relics they left behind leave this open to interpretation. At the end of the day, flow really drives home one unforgiving truth. Nature doesn't care about human plans. This is just the harsh reality of nature's overwhelming power. One of Flo's most striking scenes comes when the cat follows the bird up a colossal staircase stretching into the clouds, resembling an otherworldly Himalayan peak. The atmosphere shifts dramatically. Water droplets that once fell now rise, defying gravity, signaling a break from the natural order of things. The scene transitions into something cosmic. The cat and the bird are surrounded by stars and an expansive, swirling universe. At the center of it all, a radiant yellow light glows, drawing everything toward it. The bird flies toward the light without hesitation. The cat tries to follow but cannot. It meows desperately, as if pleading for the bird to stay, but the bird is drawn into the yellow light and vanishes completely. The cosmos dissolves as suddenly as it appeared, leaving the cat alone. The camera pulls back to reveal the cat, at the center of a giant labyrinth-like structure carved into the ground. The complex circular design surrounds the cat as it stands still, staring upward at the empty sky. If we look at it through the lens of the moontide theory, the stars and swirling universe might represent auroras. The proximity or size of the moon could stretch or deform the planet's magnetic field, potentially allowing auroras to form in non-polar regions. The yellow light and rising water droplets seem to be strange gravitational anomalies that defy physics. From the afterlife perspective, this is a moment of spiritual revelation. The cat's journey reflects personal growth. Initially independent and self reliant, the flood forces it to confront its vulnerabilities and rely on others, particularly the bird. The cat's climb toward the bird symbolizes its newfound reliance and admiration. The bird with its broken wings represents longing and a sense of being lost, yearning for a place in the world. This contrasts sharply with the capybara, who stands out as a calm and peaceful figure, seemingly unchanged throughout the story. The capybara embodies wisdom and stability, a mentor like presence who has figured it out from the beginning. Despite its own struggles, the bird serves as a guide and a beacon of hope for the cat. By helping the cat survive, it teaches the value of connection and growth through companionship. When the bird ascends to the yellow light, it signifies the end of its role, having guided the cat as far as it could. Its departure leaves the cat to continue its journey alone. The cat's inability to follow the bird highlights its lingering struggle. Its fall and meowing convey its sadness and longing for the bond it had with the bird and the comfort it provided. The labyrinth-like structure emphasizes the cat's current state. It is caught in a loop, reflecting on its journey and trying to process what has happened. The labyrinth suggests that while the cat has grown, it still has much to figure out. Perhaps the cycles of the flood and the constant loops in the story hint at an internal process of learning, adapting, and finding purpose. The whale in flow is indeed a fascinating creature, and its unusual appearance could reflect a number of environmental, evolutionary, or symbolic factors. If the world of flow has been dominated by rising water levels for generations or trapped in endless loops, the whale could represent an evolutionary response to a planet transformed by floods. On Earth, we see something similar. The buoyancy of water allows marine species to grow to enormous sizes, free from the constraints of gravity. In the film, the whale's massive size serves practical purposes, like conserving energy and traveling long distances in a flooded world where food is scarce or widely dispersed. This mirrors how real-world whales have adapted to thrive in vast aquatic ecosystems. The whale's bizarre features, like extra limbs, could also point to unique ecological pressures, such as navigating shallow or debris-filled waters, or surviving in an environment drastically reshaped by climate change. Or the bizarre features could be mutations that mirror real-world phenomena, like how pollution has caused deformities in some animals. If the flood was caused by extreme gravitational shifts, it might have introduced radiation or other environmental stressors. Over generations or loops, these conditions might have triggered dramatic mutations in the whale's genome, leading to exaggerated physical traits over time. In this way, the whale becomes a reflection of its environment's history and trauma. Beyond biology, the whale also carries a deeper symbolic meaning. In many stories, whales represent ancient wisdom, the unknown depths of the ocean, or the power of nature. But in flow, this whale, I think, symbolizes transformation, nature's response to a cataclysm, a living reminder of how the forces that reshaped the world also reshaped its creatures. And then there's the possibility of something more abstract. If flow is a story about transition, if its world exists somewhere between life and death, the whale could be a creature of that liminal space. Its massive alien appearance might represent the vast, unknowable forces shaping this world. Maybe it's a guardian, maybe it's a witness. Either way, its presence evokes awe, perfectly capturing the otherworldly nature of Flow's universe. Alright, that's my take on the mysteries of Flow. It's a lot to unpack, and honestly, the story leaves plenty of room for interpretation. What do you think? Did I miss something, or do you have your own theories? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like the video and subscribe for more. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you next time.